What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Week 8 NFL Power Rankings, recording this just after the Falcons hit a 2-point conversion to cover the spread, where I had the Falcons -4. 2-point conversion makes them victors by 3 points. So, a little salty right now, but we're going to get right into it here regardless, ignoring my emotions and the status of my wallet. Starting here with number 32, the Oakland Raiders staying put at the bottom after the bye week. The Raiders now officially in tank mode after sending Amari Cooper away. If trading Khalil Mack away already wasn't a sign that they're in tank mode, now they definitely are. So we'll see if they can rack off any more wins this year. We actually had them going, I think it was 2-14. It might have even been 1-15. I can't remember. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in that at the time, but it actually seems like a possibility that this team might only win 1 or 2 games this year. Then we got the 49ers across the bay, staying here at 31. Just unable to compete with the Rams, getting absolutely blown out. It's another team that's starting to really think about that draft position and the future of the organization. But they will continue to play hard under Coach Kyle Shanahan. And then number 30, the Buffalo Bills, showing yet again that they really can't play on the road very well. Anyone that thought Derek Anderson was going to be an improvement at quarterback, this was not a good week for you. Yeah, you know, Josh Allen, no, he hasn't been great, but just more evidence that this is an impossible situation to play quarterback, whether you're a top 10 pick or you're a seasoned vet backup guy. Bills will continue to struggle. And then 29, the Arizona Cardinals will continue to monitor the Patrick Peterson trade situation. He wants out. It makes sense. This team's not going to be winning in the next 2 years. Peterson has 2 more years left on that contract, and he is got about 2 years left in his prime. I think it would make sense for the Cardinals to move on from him, get a first-round pick. But we'll see. Steve Wilkes, it seems like he might be stubborn about that situation, but we'll see. And then at 28, the New York Giants, played competitive in Atlanta, but to only score 20 points against that really bad Falcons defense, there's no excuse. The coaching, the blocking, the quarterback play, it's all a mess. The Giants just aren't good, though they have enough playmakers and a decent enough defense to stay in some games. It's just not a team that you really trust to make plays in the fourth quarter. And then we've got the Browns here at 27, dropping a spot. Just not a very good game for the Browns in this one. Baker struggled in the first half. They really don't have a lot of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. And then it's going to be the Bucs moving up to 26 here after beating the Browns. Really interchangeable here, but the Bucs offense probably the best unit of these two. Did not think Jameis was great this week. The Bucs defense still kind of a dumpster fire, but they did prove that they can at least take care of the Browns at home. And then 25, the Miami Dolphins, getting pretty much rocked by Detroit. They made it a little interesting in the end, but it frankly was never really that close. Really not a whole lot to say about the Dolphins that hasn't already been said. And then at 24, the Colts are actually going to stay put despite the convincing win. It was just the Bills. We've ranked them a little higher than some people because I thought they were capable of putting up a game like that. So reinforcing that belief, but really not a whole lot of reason to move them up here. And then the Broncos here at 23, big win, even though it was against Arizona, but just, to go out and dominate an NFL team in a week where the Broncos really needed a confidence boost, so a team that I was kind of buying into earlier in the year and had 2 just awful weeks in a row, really needed this one. So they're kind of back on their feet a little bit here, a competitive team in this AFC. And then speaking of competitive AFC teams, the Jets here at 22, we're just outmatched by Minnesota in this one, but I still think they're a solid team, can do some nice things, although inconsistently on both sides of the ball. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars moving down 2 spots here, so we ranked them, 22 in the preseason, and that was kind of the hot take of the year. People unsubscribing from my channel, all this stuff, basically, I said, yeah, great defense, but Blake Bortles, it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to win consistently with that player as your quarterback. And that is only proving more and more true every week. This time it comes at home after he's been incompetent the last 2 weeks on the road. This game, he gets benched at home. It's just, one of the most head-scratching, incomprehensible decisions in the NFL over the last decade really was the Jags deciding to extend Blake Bortles' contract, be the team that trades for Teddy Bridgewater, sign Ryan Fitzpatrick, literally anything else. Draft Lamar Jackson. You know, this would be a Super Bowl contending team with so many other quarterbacks. Blake Bortles playing pretty much like the 45th best quarterback in the entire league right now. And it's catching up to them on the defensive side of the ball as well. And then number 20, the Seahawks, having a bye week, coming off the big London win. You know, they've gained some momentum here, starting to get some noise as well here. I think their season's really gone according to plan for me. You know, a competitive team that now has a chance to potentially capitalize on the NFC kind of falling apart a little bit. We thought that originally that they might just kind of fall to the wayside with a lot of NFC teams just being loaded this year, but maybe the NFC not quite as dominant as we once thought it would be. Seahawks could make things interesting here. I know they have a huge slate of home games coming up as well, obviously a much better team with that 12th man. So, you know, keep an eye on those Seahawks. Don't sleep on them. Still an underrated defense, even without Earl Thomas. Not quite the level they would be with him, and then Russell Wilson's still an elite quarterback, so definitely don't want to lose sight of this team. And then 19, the Houston Texans are really heating up. Now, I don't trust this team one bit. It was a big win to go into Jacksonville, kind of announce that they're kind of in control of the division now at this point, but I don't think anything really counts for control in the AFC South. This division, I think, throughout the year is going to continue to just be a complete mess. And every week we're going to leave thinking we got a new favorite in the division. So I don't trust this offensive line. They've been so bad that they had to bust Deshaun Watson halfway across the country to play this game because his lungs were so beat up that he couldn't get on an airplane. You know, that speaks volumes to how bad this offensive line has been. The defense is definitely getting better. It doesn't really count when you play good defense against Blake Bortles, though, so they're going to get the Dolphins without probably Ryan Tannehill Thursday night, definitely gaining some momentum. But even if they are a playoff team and the winner of this division, I still don't know if I look at this team and think of them as a top half team. And then 18, the Chicago Bears. This is kind of where they've been for about 2-3 weeks now. This was definitely the worst, most concerning game for Mitch Trubisky. Just inaccurate throws. Yes, he had interceptions, but a lot of them were just crazy plays by the Patriots. But just really concerning accuracy. Had a lot of Blake Bortles-like comparisons in this game for Mitch Trubisky. It's a solid team, but a team that really isn't ready to compete with the Patriots. Frankly, I thought this game should have been a much bigger score differential. The Bears kind of sneak into the end zone late in this game. They got some turnovers on kind of like a fluky injury fumble and a Cordarrelle Patterson kick return fumble that really kept the Bears close in this game early, that I thought they really were outmatched most of the game. And then at 17, the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, they pick up a loss this week, but that's not an easy game going into Washington. Close game, frankly could have gone either way. But big news today, acquiring Amari Cooper. The biggest hole on this Cowboys team is a larger receiver that can separate, and that's what you get in Amari Cooper. Cole Beasley, quite clearly the best receiver on this team to this point, but now you bring in a guy who can get open. Now he's got to get his mind right. He's got to refine that passion for the game, maybe a different culture. The star on his helmet can reignite that for Amari Cooper. Otherwise, this is going to be probably a trade flop, because without Amari Cooper becoming that #1 wide receiver, I don't know how many games Dallas is going to win. It's a pretty huge hole for them. If this turns into a top 12 pick and Amari Cooper can't get his head on straight, that's going to be a really bad trade. But I also think there is a lot of upside. I don't think there's a receiver coming out this year that is better than Amari Cooper. Even if there is one, there's no guarantee Dallas would get him. You know, maybe A.J. Brown could be that guy, but, you know, I don't think it's the worst move. A lot of people were saying they overpaid. You know, time will tell. Amari Cooper's still young and has an incredible ceiling. He's still got some of the best footwork, release at the line of scrimmage, and ability to get open than all but, I don't know, 5-6 receivers in this league. So it very well could work out for Dallas. And frankly, this was such a big need. I'd be pretty excited about the trade if I was a Cowboys fan, even if you lose that pick. Like, I'd rather give a first round for Amari Cooper than a first round for Brandon Cooks, just because I think he's a more versatile, true #1 type of guy. All right, let's move on to number 16. It's going to be the Titans, and I hate talking about this team. You know, some weeks this team can be really good. And I thought it was, impressive enough that they almost beat the Chargers. If they get the 2 yards or the 1 yard or whatever, they do win. And that would have been a big win. But I don't trust the offense at all. But I do kind of trust this defense to keep it a little low scoring. I don't feel great about the 16 ranking. If they played Houston right now, that's going to be the talking point, is who's better in this division. If they played Houston right now, it'd be close. If it was in Tennessee, I'd probably take Tennessee and vice versa. It's lazy and not hot takey, but it really is just going to be wait and see with the AFC South. It's almost impossible to get a finger on right now. And then 15, the Atlanta Falcons, they're going to drop a spot here. Taking care of the Giants at home, hardly impressive. The defense still a concern. And now they're going to have to go on the road in 6 of their last 9 games. Matt Ryan not nearly the same on the road. This offense lacking a bit of a physical element to them as well. They've got some injuries to their guards, Devonta Freeman. They really are becoming a finesse team. Not going to fare well when they've got to go outside and play outdoor football, especially on the road. But I still think they're a pretty competitive team. You still got to, play good offense to beat this team because they are going to score no matter what. And then 14, the Detroit Lions, really just a solid team right now. I mean, all the teams behind them have, you could really say, one glaring weakness, whether it's identity problems or a position group that's a problem. Detroit, you don't really have that. I mean, their defense is below average, but that's fine. I don't think you need a great defense to be a really good team in this league. And then offensively, it's just a really solid group. They know who they are. So I think Detroit is just kind of existing as a solid team right now. They're definitely in the playoff picture. I don't think of them as a Super Bowl contender. I don't think their offense is elite enough to be in that conversation, especially when their defense is very meh. But it's a really solid team. And I think if I was drawing tiers, you probably get a tier line right there at 14. And then we jump into 13 here with the Washington Redskins, who are actually going to drop a spot despite the win. Look, Redskins fans, you might be mad that I'm doing that, but hey, I've been high on you Redskins all year. I think it's a really competitive team. They are now looking like a serious threat in that NFC East. I would still take the Eagles to figure this thing out. I just think from a talent perspective, overall quarterback potential, Washington still might need a few breaks their way to win that division, but definitely a serious threat right now. A tough out, a lower ceiling from a week-to-week basis, but a much higher floor than a lot of teams on this list. And that's why you see a bunch of wins like, 20-17 this week, a close win against the Panthers last week. That's who this team is a scrappy, smart football team. And I've always thought Jay Gruden is actually a pretty damn good coach that doesn't get enough respect. And then number 12, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to drop down a spot, just getting absolutely demolished by Kansas City, the buzzsaw in Arrowhead. A kind of game we expected there. I still see the Bengals as an above-average unit on both sides of the ball, but not elite either offensively or defensively. And then 11, the Carolina Panthers, squeaking out a win in Philadelphia. And a lot of people are going to continue to criticize me here, saying the Panthers should be above the Eagles, which is fair. They did just win in Philly. I think that game got sloppy in the end. If they played that game again, I would certainly be picking Philly to win. And that's kind of how we evaluate these power rankings here is who do I like more this week. One single game can't change that. A lot of crazy stuff can happen in a single football game. But the Panthers continuing to stay relevant here. They are actually underdogs at home against Baltimore this week. I thought that was a little weird. So Vegas, not a lot of confidence in this Panthers team either. I guess I'm actually probably higher on them, I would say, than Vegas. And then we have those Ravens one spot ahead here. And they played a tough game here against the Saints at home. They were favorites, and I did pick the Saints in this one. Got a little lucky with the Justin Tucker miss, but it's just a low ceiling offense. Just the multiple tight end sets. John Brown, really the only receiver that can create separation here. Willie Snead's been a total flop. Just a bunch of bad drops in this game. We know they're great defensively. There's no denying that. They are probably the best defense in the NFL. But like I keep saying, how much does that really matter? You still let the Saints come into your house and score 24, and you just don't have enough offense to match it. Credit the guys on the Ringer NFL show. They pointed out that going back to whatever, like 2012 or 2013, as this new era of football has started to evolve. And it's even more dramatic, I think, in the 2018, 2017 seasons with the rule changes and the new creative offenses that we're seeing, that we frankly didn't see a whole lot of this stuff 3-4 years ago. But anyway, the number one defense, when the number one defense faces the number one offense, in whatever time frame this was that they collected this stat, the number one offense is 7-1 in those matchups. And I really don't think that's a fluke. I think offense wins over defense about 7 out of 8 times. And I just don't think the Ravens have a very good offense. And then at number 9, we've got the Packers here, coming off the bye week. And we'll see how they respond here, having to go to LA. This is the biggest underdog Rodgers has ever been in his career. People are very down on the Packers right now. They had to give them 8.5 points just to get people to bet on Green Bay against the undefeated Rams. We're just a buzzsaw right now. But whether or not they can be competitive in this game or even win it is going to be very telling of who this team is. If they go in there and just get blown out by 2 scores and the defense falls apart and Rodgers doesn't have the firepower to keep up, then we can probably start to write this team off. If they go in and it's close, or they can pull it out in the end, then we can probably start to talk about this Packers team being a little more relevant. And then at number 8, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to stay riding with them. They fell apart late in this game. They had no business losing this game to Carolina. Now, they're clearly not what they were last year, but I still think they make it into the playoffs. I still think they win this NFC least. And they got a ton of injuries, but I just think they got too much talent, and the rest of the NFL is just really not that good right now. I really don't have any problem keeping them here in the top 8. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, after a bye, are going to move up a spot over those Eagles. Steelers really starting to heat up, and Le'Veon Bell did not report this week, so who knows if he's coming back, but it's an elite offense, and not a lot of these teams have a truly elite unit. And if they can continue to play just slightly below average defense as opposed to miserable defense, this is going to be a very, very competitive team this year, and it's going to make it interesting in the playoffs. Right now opening, by the way, as 8-point favorites at home against Cleveland after they couldn't beat them earlier in this year. So a testament to kind of how they're heating up there. And then we got the Vikings at 6. Talk about heating up. They've now rattled off 3 straight wins, starting to play much better defense. Still going to have more of a limited ceiling without Everson Griffin, so whether or not he comes back, I think is going to be huge in terms of the Super Bowl conversation here. And then the offense can just make some plays. You're going to get some inconsistencies still from Kirk Cousins. I know he's been, or at least shown some great things under pressure this year, but was a little hesitant on that. His career, he's never been really great. Sensing the pressure, the timing when the rush gets in, that's never been his strong suit. And even though there's been games this year where he's been just elite looking, there's still going to be times like we saw this week where he's going to turn the ball over in those situations, and the offense is going to kind of stutter a little bit because of this offensive line. And then at number 5, the Chargers here, not a convincing win, but really staying alive here. No Melvin Gordon in this game. They're going to get Joey Bosa back here. Phillip Rivers, if it weren't for Patrick Mahomes, is probably the MVP of the league right now. So the Chargers heating up. No one wants to play them, even though they don't have a home field. And then the Patriots are going to stay put at 4th here. I thought they should have taken care of business in Chicago. They're now a very good football team, even if they didn't start the year that way. And then the Saints are going to stay 3 here. Impressive win going into Baltimore as underdogs, squeaking out the win at the end. It wasn't pretty, wasn't perfect, but Drew Brees got the job done. The defense held in there. And then number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. People were wondering how I could still rank them ahead of the Patriots after the Patriots beat them, but it was in Foxborough, no Justin Houston. They come home against a good Cincinnati team and just remind everyone how special this offense is. They can score absolutely at will. And currently they would be playing the Patriots in not in Foxborough, in Kansas City, where I would take the Chiefs. It's as simple as that. And one thing to keep an eye on, I think the Chiefs would be probably the prime candidate to go out and acquire Patrick Peterson. Would just make a ton of sense. You got the quarterback on the rookie deal, so you can kind of make that work financially. You're talking about maybe the 32nd pick in the draft for Patrick Peterson, and a team that really needs cornerback help. It seems like a no-brainer. So we'll see if that ends up happening or not. And then the Rams at number 1, just continuing their role. Got another tough test this week against the Packers. That'll be a great game to watch. So that's going to do it for the power rankings here, week 8. Hit that like button if you enjoy my rankings. Follow me on Twitter at TFG_football, all that. So cheers as always, guys, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.